Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Oh, goodness gracious. I am super excited about this. Let me see if I can get some things. I'll go ahead and put the book here that we'll be reading. Yes, the name of this book is Secret, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we won't figure out some secrets. I'm so excited about this. I have been very interested in this book series for a very long time. I've actually read through it once when I was in middle school going into high school, and fell in love with it and have read it a few times since then because it's super good. Also, for all of the people who are wondering if this is a kid's book or if this is, you know, an adult book or whatnot, this is geared towards middle school students, but I promise you, stick with me, you'll be glad you did. All of the things that I do here for bedtime stories, actually, I don't think I'm going to play music this time till I get that all figured out. But everything that I'm doing here, all of the books that I'm reading are for both parents and children alike. Let me go ahead and there we go. There we go. Getting everything. Scooting over. We're getting there. But everything is parent and student alike. And I just really want everybody to be able to have this time to be together. Hopefully, if I can figure it out, I'm going to be putting all these on YouTube. So all the kids that cannot be here every Wednesday from 9 to 10, we'll probably go a little bit later today because I started a little bit later. But everybody who can't join me for that, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Should be on YouTube soon. So, with that, I'm just going to go over a few guidelines. I do not read, where is it? I'm going to be reading all of these things, so I won't be able to read the comments. I won't be able to read the comments because I'll be looking at the books that I'm reading. So, if you want to talk to me during the stream, go ahead and put the post after the chapter is over. Then I'll go ahead and read all the comments and kind of look over them and whatnot. So you will be read. Your comments will be read. Do not worry about that. With that, this camera is upside down, so I'm going to be reading it like this. And the reason that I'm reading is because I want to be a voice actress, and this is the best way to do it is by let me see if I can pull it down a little more. Okay, the best way to do it is by reading everything out loud. So I suck at it. I'm really bad at it. But the best way to get better at something is to do it. So with that being said, thank you everybody who is in chat right now. I hope you enjoy yourself. And yeah, let's get started, shall we? This is the first time I'm trying to do this with two cameras. So let's see. We'll do this so that I can kind of read it this way a little bit. Where's my little reedy thingy? This is not my reedy thingy. Yeah, it's gonna be my reedy thingy for right now. So, the name of this book is Secret. Warning, do not read beyond this page. Good. Now that I know that I can trust you. You're curious. You're brave. And you're not afraid to lead a life of crime. But let's get something straight. If, despite my warning, you insist on reading this book, you can't hold me responsible for the consequences. And make no bones about it, this is a very dangerous book. No, it won't blow up in your face, or bite your head off, or tear you lib from lib. It probably won't injure you at all. Unless somebody throws it at you, in which case, probably should never be discounted. Generally speaking, books don't cause much harm, except when you read them, that is. Then they cause all kinds of trouble. Or problems. Books can, for example, give you ideas. I don't know if you ever had an idea before, but if you have, you know how much trouble an idea can get you into. Books can also provide emotions, and emotions sometimes are even more troublesome than ideas. Emotions have led people to do all sorts of things they later regret. Oh, like throwing a book at someone else? But the main reason this book is so dangerous is that it contains a secret. A big secret. It's funny the way secrets work. If you don't know about a secret, it doesn't bother you. You go about your business without a care in the world. La la la, you sing. Everything's fine and dandy. Or maybe you don't actually sing la la la, but you know what I mean. But as soon as you hear about a secret, it starts nagging at you. What is the secret, you wonder? Why am I not supposed to know about it? Why is it so important? Suddenly, you're dying to know what the secret is. You beg, you plead, you threaten, you cajole, you promise never to tell anyone else. You try anything and everything. You dig into your secret keeper's belongings. You pull his or her hair. And when that doesn't work, you pull on your own. Not knowing a secret is just about the worst thing in the world. No, I can think of one thing worse. Knowing the secret. Read on if you must. But remember, I warned you. Chapter 1. This is the page. I did chapter 1. What? XX, XXX, XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX Look at this. It is legit nothing but X's. Welcome to Pseudonymous Bosch. He is a known troll, and throughout this book, there will be many, many, many trolly things. So, enjoy. Chapter 1 and a half. An apologia. An apologia, if you're wondering, is not a variety of insect, neither a type of cancerous tumor. It is an apology. In other words, it's not worth being written. Bleh. It's not worth the paper it's written on. Whoa. Okay. I'm sorry I couldn't let you read chapter 1. That's where you would have learned the names of the characters in the story. You also would have learned where the story takes place, and when. You would have learned all the things you usually learn at the beginning of a book. Unfortunately, I can't tell you any of those things. Yes, this is a story about a secret, but it's also a secret story. I shouldn't even be telling you that I shouldn't even be telling you that I shouldn't be telling you the story. That's how much of a secret it is. Not only can't I tell you the names of the people involved, I can't tell you what they've done or why. I can't tell you what kind of pets they have, or how many annoying little brothers, or how many bossy big sisters, or whatever, whether they like ice cream, plain or with mix-ins. I can't tell you about their school, or their friends, or their favorite television show, or if they ride on skateboards, or if they're a champion chess player, or if they compete in fencing competitions, or even if they wear braces. In short, I can't tell you anything that would help you identify the people involved in the story if you were to meet them at your orthodontist office. Teeth, as you may know from watching television, are very useful detectives when detectives are identifying cadavers. This is for your own protection as well as mine. As for the protection of your friends, even if they're your enemies. You know, the ones that you say you want to kill, but in the end you'd rather keep alive. Still, you must find my silence very frustrating. How can you follow a story if you don't know whom it's about? Somebody has to be getting lost in the woods, or slaying dragons, or traveling in time, or whatever it happens to be in the story. I'll tell you what, make you a deal. To help you follow along my story, I'm going to break my own rule already. And I'm going to give my characters names and faces. But remember, these aren't real names and faces. They're more like code names and cover identities, like a spy or criminal would have. If you don't like the names I choose, then change it. If I write Tim loved to pick his nose, and you prefer his name to be Tom to Tim, read the line as Tom loved to pick his nose. I won't take offense. You can do that with all the names in the book if you like, or keep the names, it's up to you. Just as it's hard to read a story without knowing whom the story is about, it's also hard to read a story without knowing where the story takes place. Even if you're reading about an extraterrestrial, from another dimension, you'll want to image something about their surroundings, like they lived in a musky green miasma, or in some place really hot. Although the real location of this story will have to remain a mystery to make it easier for all of you. Why don't you say the story takes place in a place you know very well? We'll call it your hometown. When you read about the town the characters live in, just think of the town you live in. Is it big or little? Is it by a sea or a lake? Or is it your old town? Or is your old town all asphalt and shopping malls? You tell me. When you read about the characters' schools, think of your school. Is it in an old one-room schoolhouse? Or is it a bunch of double-wide mobile homes? You decide. When they go home, imagine they live on your street, maybe even in a house right across from yours. Who knows? Maybe your street is where the story even really takes place. I wouldn't tell you if it was, but I couldn't tell you for certain that it's not. In return for all the freedom that I'm giving you, I ask only one favor. If I ever slip and reveal something that I shouldn't, and I will, please forget what I've said as soon as possible. In fact, when you're reading this book, it's a good idea to forget everything you read as soon as you read it. If you're one of those people who can read with their eyes closed, I urge you to do so. And if you're reading blind and if you're blind and reading this in Braille, Keep your hands off the page. Why don't you just write under... Why do I write under such awful circumstances? Wouldn't it be better to scrap the book altogether and do something else? Oh, I could give you all kinds of reasons. I could tell you that I write this book so you will learn from the mistakes of others. I could tell you that dangerous as writing this book would be, it'd be even more dangerous not to write it. But the real reason is not so glorious. It's actually quite simple. I can't keep a secret, and never could. I hope you have better luck. Chapter 2, A Wednesday. Let me see how long this is. All right, so we're going to read chapter 2 all up to chapter 3 today, and then we're going to take a pause and do next week. Now I'm going to, a new aspect of the story is going to start coming up here in chapter 2. There's going to be little asterisks in the book in different places, and then at the bottom of the book there's going to be fine print to read. So I'm going to get to that part, read the asterisk, and then continue reading. And the way that I'm going to do it is hopefully not as confusing as it sounds. All right, let's begin, shall we? After I do a thing. Okay. Here we go. Chapter 2, A Wednesday. True, I cannot tell you the year the story begins, or even the month, but I see no harm in telling you the day. It was a Wednesday, a humble, unremarkable, middle child in the week family, a Wednesday. A Wednesday had to work hard to be noticed. Most people let each one pass without comment, but not the heroine of our story. She is the kind of girl who notices things that others don't. Meet Cassandra. Wednesday is her favorite day. She believes it's just when you least expect something earth-shattering to happen. Then it does. According to Greek myth, the original Cassandra was a princess of ancient Troy. She was very beautiful, and Apollo, the god of the sun, fell in love with her. She rejected him. Apollo became very angry, so he placed a curse on her. He gave her the power to predict the future, but he also ensured that no one would believe her predictions. Imagine knowing that your whole world was about to be destroyed by a tornado or a typhoon, and then having nobody believe you when you told them. What misery! Unlike Cassandra of the myth, the girl who features in our story is not a prophet. She cannot see into the future, nor has she been cursed by God. At least, not to my knowledge, anyway. But she resembles the prophet in such a way that she always predicts disaster. Earthquakes, hurricanes, plague. She is an expert in all things terrible, and she sees evidence of them everywhere. That is why I am calling her Cassandra, or Cass for short. As you know, I cannot describe Cass in detail, but this much I will tell you. From the outside, Cass looks like a typical 11-year-old. Her major distinguishing feature is that she has rather large, pointy ears. And before you tell me that I shouldn't have told you about her ears, let me explain that she almost always has her ears covered with her hair or with a hat, so chances are you'll never see them. While she may look like other girls, Cass is, in other retrospects, very unaverage sort of person. She doesn't play games involving fortune-telling or jumping rope or strings of any kind. She doesn't even watch television very often. She doesn't own a single pair of soft suede boots lined with fleece. She wouldn't even want a pair unless they were waterproof and could protect her in a snowstorm. As I can tell you, Cass is very practical. She has no time for trivial matters. Her motto, be prepared. Her mission, to make sure that she and her friends and family survive all the disasters that befall them. Cass is a survivalist. These things Cass carries in her backpack every day. Flashlight, a compass, a silver mylar space blanket, surprisingly warm if you haven't tried one, also useful for reflective properties. Box of juice, usually grape, doubles as ink in a pinch. Bubblegum for sticking value and because chewing helps her concentrate. Cass's patented super chip trail mix. Chocolate chips, peanut butter chips, banana chips, potato chips, and no raisins ever. Topographical maps of all closest desert mountain areas, as well as of Micronesia. I feel like I'm botching this real bad. Sorry, guys. And the Galapagos Islands. Rope, kit, toolkit, first aid kit, dust mask, extra pair of socks and shoes in case of flash floods and other wet conditions, matches, technically not allowed at school, plastic knife because jackknife is really not allowed, school books, and homework when she remembers, which is not very often. She keeps forgetting to put her schoolwork and other supplies on her checklist. On the evidence of the items in her backpack, you might guess that Cass has led a very adventurous life, but you'd be wrong. The truth is, up till the time of this story begins, none of the disasters she predicted had befallen her. There had been no earthquakes at school, none strong enough to shatter a window. Anyway, the mildew in her mother's shower turned out to be just that, not killer mold Cass predicted. And that child spinning around on the grass did not have mad cow disease. He was just having a good time. Cass didn't exactly mind that her predictions didn't come true after all. She didn't wish for disaster, but she couldn't help wishing people took her concerns a little more seriously. Instead, everyone was always reminding her about the boy who cried wolf. Naturally, they took that story to mean that the boy shouldn't have cried wolf when there wasn't any. But Cass knew the true moral of the story, that the boy was right. There really were wolves around. They didn't get you in the end if you didn't watch out. Oh, and they'd get you in the end if you didn't watch out. Better cry wolf over and over and over again than to not cry wolf at all. Of all the people in the world, only two paid attention to Cass's prediction: Grandpa Larry and Grandpa Wayne. Grandpa Larry and Grandpa Wayne weren't Cass's original biological grandfathers. They were her substitute. They were her substitute grandfathers. Larry had been Cass's mother's history teacher in high school, and they remained friends ever since. Since neither of Cass's original grandfathers were around, Cass's mother asked Larry and Wayne to fill in. Larry and Wayne lived around the corner from Cass in an old abandoned fire station. The bottom floor, where the fire engines had been kept, had been converted to an antique store and warehouse. Their living quarters were upstairs, where in the old days the firemen slept between the fires. Every Wednesday after school, Cass was supposed to work in their shop until her mother called to say dinner was ready. But, in truth, very little work ever got done at the fire station. "You're just in time for tea," Grandpa Larry would say whenever she visited. Grandpa Larry wasn't British, but he spent time in England when he was in the army, and he developed a serious tea habit. Cass thought Larry's elaborate rituals were a little silly, but she loved the cookies Larry made. He called them biscuits. And the stories he told while their tea was brewing. By now, Cass suspected that most of his stories were exaggerated, if not entirely made up, but they always included useful information, like how to put up a tent in a sandstorm or how to milk a camel. On the particular Wednesday this story begins, Larry was showing Cass how to make a compass by placing a cork in a bowl of water. For Grandpa Larry's compass recipe turned to the apex that is the end of the book. By the way, not in your body. And at the end of this chapter, I will flip open to that. The compass was almost complete, and the cork was just about to point north when her grandfather's basset hound, Sebastian, started barking so noisily that the water shook out of the edge of the bowl. Sebastian was blind, and now that he was growing old, he was very nearly deaf as well. But he had the keenest sense of smell in town. Anyone called him Sebastian the Seeing Nose Dog, and he always knew when visitors were about to enter the shop. "Fire drill!" Grandpa Wayne called Grandpa Wayne from down below, which was their code for customer had arrived. "Guess this compass thing will just have to wait," grumbled Grandpa Larry. "Now, get down. Smoke rises up, so the best way to keep breathing is to stay low to the ground." He and Cass crouched down and pulled their shirts over their noses, as if the room was filling with smoke. Larry pointed to the station's old brass fire pole. "Ladies first." Cass eagerly grabbed the pole and stepped out into the opening into the floor. "Wait, Grandpa Larry. Promise not to tell your mother." And then we've got cute little signs here. This one says, "You break it, you buy, or you break it, you hide it." This one says, "The customer is never right." This one says, "If it ain't broke, don't sell it." "Promise," said Cass, already straddling the slide. Despite the fact that it was their job, Cass's grandfathers couldn't bear to sell anything. They loved all their things way too much. As a result, their store was crammed so tight it was like a huge maze with walls of furniture. Every surface was covered with stuff they'd collected, from old clown paintings to mechanical monkeys to broken typewriters to things you couldn't describe if you tried. By the time Larry and Cass had navigated their way through, the front door was opening to reveal a pair of legs staggering under the weight of an enormous cardboard box. As soon as he saw the box, Larry rushed to the doorway and threw his arms across it, barring the way. "No, no, no! Bad Gloria!" he said sternly, as if he was addressing a dog and not a person under a box. "I told you the last time. No more things. Look around. We're stuffed to the gills." "At least let me put this down for a moment," complained the voice of the unseen woman. Taking pity on her, Larry grabbed hold of the box and placed it on the threshold. A small, rounded woman, bright yellow suits, scowled at him. This was Gloria Fortune. Don't you even want to hear where it comes from?" she asked, so red-faced and breathing hard from under the tall beehive hairdo. "Such fascinating things." "Well, never mind," she said brightly. Is there a dumpster in the back?" Larry almost choked. "No, I mean, there is a dumpster, but there's not. You wouldn't throw the box away?" he asked, as if Gloria was threatening murder. Gloria smiled slightly as the twisted curl under her hair that sprung loose. Sorry, Larry. You're my last resort. I certainly don't have the room. Larry hesitated. In that case, why don't you come inside for a cup of tea and I'll just take a peek before you do anything rash? Gloria grinned victoriously. Oh, you won't regret it, she said, entering the store. Sheepishly, Larry picked up the box and followed her back inside. Sorry, he whispered to Cass. This should only take a second, a minute, or 5, or 10, or 20 minutes at the most. Gloria, as Cass learned over her third time. Cass leaned over her third, or was it fourth, cup of tea, was a real estate agent, a probate specialist, meaning that she sold houses after their owners had passed away. She was, in effect, a real estate agent for the dead. Gloria loved to gossip. She and Larry was... She... Well, thank you so much for the hosting. Gloria loved to gossip, and Larry was always ready to listen to the ghoulish tales about her dead clients. Wayne, who was a retired mechanic, always left to go fix something when Gloria was around. As for the box, or stuff she had just bought, it came from the home of the strange and reclusive man, some kind of magician, or strange, reclusive man, some kind of magician or something. The what I call an old coot, Gloria said. Watch it, Gloria, said Grandpa Larry. Some of us are pretty coutish ourselves. The magician, Gloria continued, obviously had died of suddenly several months earlier, in a kitchen fire, the source of which was never determined. He had no known relations or survivors, not a single friend, poor man. Because the magician's house was so off the beaten path, his death might never have been discovered had not his gardener investigated the terrible smell emanating from the kitchen. Cass nodded knowingly at this bit of information. The smell of the decomposing flesh was very strong. The smell of the decomposing flesh can be very strong, she said, trying to show she was very familiar with cases of this kind. Although I hesitate to point out her knowledge of corpses was not first-hand. True, said Gloria, but actually, the gardener was smelling with something else. Sulphurous. He described it like, there's a lot of Latin in this book, I apologize. Like Hurus Pordalius. That means rotten eggs in Spanish, said Cass, who was studying that language at school. I thought it meant talky girls, said Gloria pointedly. Cass considered it was not wise to say anything more, and she excused herself to do some homework, pretending she was no longer interested in the story of the dead magician. But she continued to listen, or, as you might call it, eavesdrop, while Gloria finished telling her story. In fact, almost nothing of the magician's body was left, smelly or otherwise. The fire had been so intense that only a few of his teeth remained. See, I warned you about the teeth. Curiously, while the magician entered the kitchen, while the magician's entire kitchen was incinerated, the rest of the house was left unscathed. as if the fire had gone out as quickly as it started. According to Gloria, the source of the noxious aroma was never found, and the traces of it still lingered. She hoped it would hamper the sale of the house, which was going to be difficult enough thanks to the house's quirky and offbeat character. Gloria pronounced the words as if they were slightly distasteful, but Cass, not knowing precisely what they meant, thought it sounded just grand. She decided if she ever bought a house, she would want to buy one just like the magician's. After Gloria left, Wayne rejoined the others to rifle through the magician's belongings. Mostly, the contents of the the contents of the box were disappointing. What Gloria had described as a contraption for mixing potions turned out to be an ordinary kitchen mixture, and what she had just guessed was something for making objects disappear was, in fact, a piece of exercise equipment. They thought they'd extracted everything they could when Sebastian started barking excitedly. The blind dog circled the box, sniffing it, like there was something inside he really wanted, or something inside he was really scared of, or both. Cass pushed aside the last remaining bits of the newspaper at the bottom and saw there was something they'd missed earlier. Another box. Sebastian's bark grew louder as she pulled it out. The box was flat, about the size and shape of a briefcase, and fitted with brass hinges and fastenings. It was made of a darkish reddish, stripy type of wood, and it was carved with a design of swirling vines and flowers surrounding an uplifted face. Was shown in the profile, inhaling what looked like curling smoke. Rosewood, Wayne said, taking the box from Cass so that he could examine it more closely. Too large for a cigarette box. Maybe a cutlery case. Larry nodded. Probably art. Neuve. Design. About 100 years old. French? Art Nouveau means new art in French, but as you can see from the box, it's actually a very old style. If you ever go to Paris and hope to do so, and I hope you do, you will notice that some of the metro entrances are made to look like vines growing out of the sidewalk. Art noir in the an art noir jungle. He took the box from Wayne and held it up to look at the bottom. No markings. Looks like one of a kind. Can I open it? Cass asked. She knew from experience they could go on for hours if she didn't stop them. Wayne nudged Larry, and Larry handed her the box. Go ahead, he said, though no doubt he would have liked to open it himself. Cass, with the substitute grandfather peering over each shoulder, Cass carefully sprang the latch and raised the lid from their gasps. Cass could tell they'd never seen anything like it before. She certainly hadn't. The interior of the box was upholstered in luscious purple velvet, nailed in the velvet, and arranged in 4 concentric semicircles were dozens of sparkling crystal vials. Most of these vials, Cass later counted 99 of them, contained liquids in various colors: lavender water, amber oil, alcohol, an alarming shade of green, Other vials were filled with powders of various degrees and fineness, others with flower petals, leaves, herbs, and spices, shards of wood and bark, even dirt, or vial held a single strand of hair. What is this? Some kind of chemistry set? Could be, said Larry. Do you know that in England, pharmacists are called chemists? Touching the velvet for the first time, Cass noticed something that had been hidden by a fold, a small brass plaque on which had the words engraved, "The Symphony of Smells." The Symphony of Smells? Maybe it's a perfume making kit, suggested Wayne. Cass pulled out a vial and opened it. A sharp citrus aroma released into the air. Lemon? She guessed. She handed the vial to Wayne and pulled out another. They spent the next few minutes opening the vials and guessing the scents they contained. Mint, lime, root beer, sassafras, Larry called it. Wet wool, old socks, freshly mown grass. I think it's kind of a smelling game, said Cass, who was enjoying herself immensely. To train your nose, like if you were a detective, so you could know what you were smelling in an emergency, or at the scene of a crime. Whatever it was, my nose is getting very tired, said Larry. Just one more, said Cass, picking up a vial from the end of the second row. There was a hairline crack in the vial, and it was nearly empty, save for the save the light dusting of yellow powder. She opened it and recognized the smell immediately. It was the smell of Habeas Pardios, rotten eggs. Chapter 3. And now, introducing Max-Ernest. And that is where we will close. Oh, wait, I can do it down here. And that's where we're going to close out today. We read 3 chapters. They were small chapters, so it just kind of depends on the chapters, how long they are, how many we'll read each time. But now I can read you guys' comments. I'm super, super, super excited to be reading this book. This is one of my favorite series ever. I hope you guys are enjoying it. And if you are, then please come, actually, put it here so you guys can see what it is. If you guys are enjoying it, then feel free by all means, either go buy the series yourself or stay tuned. And for next Wednesday, and every Wednesday now, I am doing a scheduled stream. I'm super excited. But this Wednesday and every Wednesday, you can join me here from 9 to 10, and I will be reading more chapters. Excuse me, it has been a long day. But I hope you guys liked it. Let me see what you guys wrote up here so I can say, hi, Gigi Garcia, thank you so much for coming. I know, right, Daquin? Bedtime stories are back. This is my general setup for right now. I plan to have much cooler stuff in the future. We are still working through that, but I wanted to start the stream off here as soon as possible. And when better than April 1st? Surprise! Old coots are the worst. I know, right? Like, you can never tell if they're telling the truth or if they're just, elaborating a story which they had actually happened to them. Because, if they elaborated the story, then, whoo, boy, they lived a life, and I want to talk to them more. Let's see. Roll for corpse knowledge. Yeah, definitely. This is, if you guys haven't guessed, is a mystery. I'm super excited about it. Like I said, yes, it is written for younger audiences. So when I get it up on YouTube, then feel free to have your kids, nieces, nephews, or just, if you like it, you can rewatch it again. But yeah, I'm super excited about this whole bedtime story thing. You could also catch me at Thread Writers every other Sunday for Tomb of Annihilation, and that's from 4 to 7 Eastern Standard Time every other Sunday, and then every single Tuesday from 8 to 11 on Welcome Party RPG. You can find me there playing Riffs, Great World of Riffs. So, also, I make owlbear dice bags. I crochet them, and they are super cute. And you can find that at www.nerdychicken.ca. That's www.nerdychicken.ca. I am going to make this super short because I actually have another stream after this, which is crazy. But thank you guys so much for joining. I love every single one of you. Thank you so much, Daquin, for hosting this channel. And I hope to see you guys later and next week and Tuesday and Wednesday for our games. So take care, guys. I will see you all later. Turning on the music again. Badoop. Bye. Transition for me. My luck. Give me a moment. It's coming. It's coming. It's happening. Here it goes. Okay, bye.